So, good evening. Welcome everyone to ERL for round number 7, obviously, of the championship, of course. And, well, unfortunately, I don't have up-to-date standings today, but that don't really matter too much because, obviously, either way, like, yeah, we can go through the reminder of the standings, just what they were before, either way, which I'll quickly do. So last time, this was obviously from actually 3-4 weeks ago now, from the Belgium Grand Prix. Standings were Nice Job currently leading the championship from Danny Van Rooten, then Oscar third, Vigo fourth, and Strikey is currently sat fifth. And the top three are currently all separated by 14 points at the moment. However, again, bear that in mind, these are not up to date. So after Miami, I'm not sure how things have changed really in terms of who's where, in terms of the order. And in terms of the constructors, well, Mercedes had a bit more of a healthier gap with 248 points. McLaren on 171, followed by AlphaTauri then on 109, and then Aston Martin on 104, and then we have Williams on 97 points. So those are your top five in each of the drivers and constructors. However, we're just literally waiting upon everyone to ready up, and I think they are doing that now, ultimately. So let's get into Jeddah then, and let's get this stream then begun here for, well, what is a kind of a bit of a special edition stream today, but I will speak about that ever so shortly, probably a little bit closer into quali then once we get going, why this is a special stream. I'm sure, well, a few people might know why it is a special stream, but as I say, I'll speak about that a bit more into quali. But talking about, obviously, Jeddah, it's a very, obviously, unique circuit based in Saudi Arabia, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, of course, based at the Jeddah Corniche circuit in the Middle East, of course. One of the most modern day Formula One venues that is currently on the calendar. I think, if I'm correct in saying, it is the second newest track that Formula One has added in recent times. Of course, Las Vegas is the most recent. However, this would be the second most recent in terms of that aspect. But now we're into qualifying. I'll just explain why this is a special stream tonight. And I think we all need to give a big shout out to, obviously, Bob and his team. In case you're wondering who's Bob or who is Bob, that's Man's Not Bob in the server. You know, aka a lot of different other names as well. But yeah, shout out to Man's Not Bob and his team, because we are now, or this is, I think, the 1 year anniversary or something. Pretty sure it's the 1 year anniversary. Let me get that correct. So yeah, it's the anniversary, of course, according to our YouTube channel, when basically we broadcasted the first ever ERL stream, and now a year later, well, the league is still going strong. Obviously, clearly, the streams are on a weekly basis now, and regularly on a weekly basis. No issue there. And yeah, it's brilliant to be part of the channel as well, myself, obviously F1ology, but at the same time, you know, it can be only really thanks to Bob and his team. So for everyone who has helped Man's Not Bob and been part of the ERL, be it a member, be it obviously an admin, be it even obviously a commentator or whoever, I'm sure, you know, we can all thank Bob for his amazing initiative to begin ERL YouTube channel. and obviously not just ERL YouTube channel, but obviously ERL and the overall sort of, league in itself, because obviously without him and without his team that he's formed and put together, of course, none of it would be possible. Of course, there might be other leagues, but I don't think those other leagues would be as good or well run as what ERL is, and I certainly know ERL is a well-run league by, of course, Bob, and obviously that's thanks to the team that he's put together, which is light-hearted, fruitful, innovative, and of course talented. And Dude Lee then is about to kick off then things here in ERL tonight for Jeddah, as we then cross the line to begin the first lap around this circuit. And of course, lap times here on Monday night, I think we got down just to the 127s. Probably going to be a bit faster tonight. Maybe a 125 potentially. I'm not entirely too sure. But yeah, usually half second quicker. This tier is overall, so pretty sure probably we're going to see quick times tonight come out of the blocks. Of course, only 14, which therefore helps, I suppose, some of our championship contenders, such as Danny, Nice Job, and Oscar, to be precise, because at least they don't have to deal with any sort of incidents. I guess less chance of safety car with 14 potentially, and therefore probably going to be a very, very clean race. And a very quick 25 laps to come here, so it is going to be very crucial to get a good qualifying position, I reckon, tonight, compared to maybe when you have a full grid. But we are going to try and increase those numbers for future weeks. We are going to try and keep them going up. Obviously, got some plans we have, and we will get them going up. But already, we're into the 126s. And that already breaks the barrier for what was Monday's pole time. So we're already faster than the Irons here. And that's a very good start, I suppose, to qualifying. Here's Robbo, then 1-6. His teammates up ahead of him. Let's actually quickly go to Piano Jam, who's just finishing off his lap here. So here is Piano Jam, about to cross the line. Certainly not looking likely he's going to be up there with the top guys at the moment. But at 129.6, it's okay lap, roughly where some of the banker laps were on Monday. As then Robbo crosses the line, does a 128.9, 28.2, and then Strikey crossed the line and done a 26.8, so he went even faster, as Oscar now moves that benchmark even a little bit further ahead than there. Here comes Tom now rounding the final corner. Is he going to put his car and his Haas anywhere near the front row of the grid? Well, he's going to certainly do a good lap. It's 28.4. That is okay for now. It's into the top 10 at least, and it's only a few tenths behind Robbo and Savista, of course, who currently P7, so that's the current times. Here's Danny Vent. Started a new lap he has, and let's see what the Mercedes man can do. And Danny's obviously one of the probably the best drivers I've ever seen. If I'm not going to lie, I don't want to offend anyone here, but if I'm going to be honest, between Nice Job and Danny, they're probably, or there's actually probably another person actually who I should mention as well, but Danny's one of the best drivers I've probably seen on the F1 game overall. He's such a fast, talented driver. And Nice Job is such a consistent driver, but also fast, also got a good turn of pace when he needs to deploy it as well. But them two, probably the fastest two drivers I've seen on the game. And we're going to see what, obviously, Danny can do. He'll always raise that benchmark for you. If you think Oscar's done a great lap, well, we have to see what Danny can do. Is he going to go faster? Indeed, you bet he is, and that's a 26.5. As I said, he always raises a benchmark for you, and he's already put his car into the 126.5s. And bear in mind, I think that's the second lap for him as well, so not even on ideal tyre condition life in terms of where them tyres would have been at. So that is a very good lap then there for him. But as I say, Oscar's also good, and shouldn't really disrespect Oscar either. Oscar is a brilliant driver too. As a nice job has retired then from the session, so that is nice job out of it. Then here in qualifying, he'll start P14, maybe trying to last the first challenge. He does kind of like to go for some of them ones every now and then, just to try and show off, because he does have brilliant race pace, nice job. And even when you think he's struggling in a race, he always manages to find a way to, you know, get back towards the front. And that's a very unique talent to have, in always trying to find a way back to the front of the grid and finish in those top honour scoring positions overall. So very good driver, nice job is as well in that regard. But anyway, Danny Van Rooten then on in lap. We do have a few currently on our out lap, such as Oni Odol, I think Savista's also on one, and we've got Vouncey. Vouncey is now started his out lap. So he is now, well, coming into the final sector then here. So here comes Vouncey, crosses the line now to begin his lap. Obviously his teammate's currently sat 4th for Alpine, so let's see what he can do as he exits turns 1 and 2. Turn 4, very tricky corner to negotiate. Very tricky indeed, that can be. A little bit wide he was there of the apex. Looks like he's a bit tense maybe through here. Certainly not trusting himself to throw it into all the corners. And this is probably one of the biggest challenges of a street track compared to a ordinary track. Obviously, you've got to have the trust and the confidence in the car. Big lift off then there, but nonetheless, still pushing on and still trying to do a decent-ish lap time then here. Certainly, probably not going to be in the regions of the 126s. Probably closer to that 128.4 or the 29.6. Through turns 21, it actually took them fairly nicely as he heads then down this long back straight. DRS very critical here during the race to get this tactically right in terms of where you overtake, because if you do overtake before that DRS line, then of course you will give the DRS back to your rival and allow them to also potentially get overtake back on you. And it's a 29.4 for Vouncey then there. In this qualifying so far. Here's Savista, who is actually behind. So we'll go back to Oneodol. Actually, no, sorry. We'll go back to Savista because he's ahead of Oneodol. So here is Savista on his second lap, new to the league. So he, of course, is a debutant. And, well, we've seen a few debutants this season come in and do fairly well. Can he do well as well? Well, we'll have to see. Too many wells I'm saying there, aren't I? Anyway. Moving on from the wells. And rounding the final corner. Where is this time going to post him? Is it going to be a considerable leap forward? Well, the answer is slightly. Puts him just ahead of Piers. However, Piers has... currently sat 8th and is currently in the pits. So here's Oneodol. He's invalidated, unfortunately. So not is here is Oneodol because he's not on a lap. Here's then Strikey. Strikey actually put himself in a good first run. So currently 2/10 up on his best lap so far. Now, what can he do here in qualifying? Can he beat up there with some of the top lads? Usually he is a competitive driver himself too. He has had some good results here in ERL, not in the championship fight though. I don't think he does every race, if I'm correct in saying, but nonetheless, through then the final sector he's into, and Silo Dark has joined. So I think we've got another driver on the grid now for tonight's race, which is good, I suppose. More the merrier. Anyway, round the final corner for Strikey, goes on to provisional pole position. So takes the pole from Danny Van Rooten and Oscar away. Last night we had a all front row Aston Martin grid. Are we going to get an all front row Mercedes grid? It does look like that could possibly happen. Of course, Nice Job currently isn't in the qualifying. We still haven't seen what, of course, some of the drivers can do. As Robbo right now stays 9th, I believe, and doesn't look like he's going to improve with that much battery. Now here's Piano Jam. Piano Jam first lap wasn't a great one, can't lie. It was only a 29.6. However, maybe he can find more lap time between his first and second run. Of course, currently Vouncey's ahead of him about by 2/10, and he's improving massively on this lap by a whopping 0.8 of a second, which certainly would see him move ahead of Vouncey again into 11th. Still not near Tom, still a bit off Tom right now, who currently sits 10th, but it would be a solid improvement. Hits the wall at the final corner at the exit. I think that's turn 28. A lot of turns here to remember. And goes across the line and up into 11th on a 28.7. So decent-ish lap then there from him. Moves himself up one position so far. Obviously, I don't think Robbo's on a lap. And we're now into that sort of like unique period of qualifying where everyone is in the pits and the track goes quiet. So, Dave obviously commenting once again on that, speech I kind of gave earlier. Hope you enjoyed this little speech I gave regarding, obviously, ERL's, 1 year of racing in ERL to the day. So, yeah, the year anniversary, of course, for ERL, and as I said, thanks to Bob. We can only thank Bob for the amazing team that he put together. And of course, Dave is part of that as well, who is an amazing admin, of course. Currently somewhere in the world. Probably, never get him to fly a plane. If he's on the same flight or plane as me, I'm straight off that. No offense, Dave. Because I'm not going into a barrier with you. But yeah, you love barriers too much. It's actually alarming, really, at times. But nah, can't wait to see you back. Hopefully, racing soon, whenever that next time is. So people are now starting to flood out the pits. So how are they going to go then? So Oscar's going to be the first one of the big runners around. Then it's going to be who's behind him. So then it's going to be, I believe, Piers. Yeah, then it's Piers. Then it'll be Silo Dark, followed by Oneodol. Then it will be, of course, Danny Van Rooten. So it'll be the second one around. Then Strikey, currently your pole sitter. Then you have Leeds, who've just materialised from pits. Strooms, of course. Or Storms, however you prefer to pronounce it. So Storms. Then it'll be Savista, the new driver who's just joined us today. Or recently, I should say. Then we've got, of course, the other two of Vouncey and Piano Jam in the pits, but I think it's too late probably for them to come out to start their laps. So let's go back to the driver who's going to come around the final corner first. Actually, he's not going to come around the final corner first because he's just been overtaken. So Silo Dark then is going to be the first one around. We will keep an eye though on then the lap times as they come. So here we go then. To start then the final runs off in qualifying is Silo Duck taking it away. Down into turn 1, picks the braking mark just beyond the 100 metre board and gets the car nicely slowed down, actually hitting the apex well. A little bit of wheel spin on the exit, you can just hear the engine revs going a bit high there and over revving the car ever so slightly. Takes a nice turn 4, then doesn't hit the wall, no issues through here, maybe a little bit too much curb on the left back there at I think turn 8 and 9, but first sector a 32.0 then. Through then the banking and very close to the wall, takes a nice wide line into then this corner, which again takes very good lines, nothing can be disputed there. Looking like a decent lap coming together for Silo Dark, certainly one that probably should see him go up into the top, well, I'm going to say 8 or 6 here. Don't think it'll be quite enough to take pole, but I have been wrong in the past when it comes to some of these things. But we'll have to see. Silo Dark then entering the final sequence of the lap then. So, round the final corner, doesn't hit the wall, kept it very clean. Trying to now just take the path of least rolling resistance. Gonna come across the line now. Does get into the top 6. And it's a 27.3. So here comes Oscar then to the line. What is he doing? Can he go onto the front row? Yes, he can. Goes on to provisional pole for now. And then takes that provisional pole away from Strikey. So here comes then Oscar to the line. Is he going to... not Oscar, sorry. Danny Van Rooten, the teammate of Oscar, to the line. Goes on to provisional pole. What about Strikey? Is he going to go on to pole? No, misses out, but takes it onto the front row. Here is then Leeds. Actually, we'll go to Savista, crosses line, moves himself up back into 8th. Then comes Leeds, who is actually improving by a nice 0.4 of a second. If he can keep this up, should go up into 4th. Takes 4th away from Duday Lee. And that is your grid set then for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, or Grand Prix here in Saudi Arabia at the Circuit of Jeddah. And we'll go now through the grid order for your Saudi Arabian Jeddah Grand Prix. So, from first, starting on pole for 1 year anniversary Grand Prix here at Jeddah, then we have Danny Van Rooten, followed by Strikey. Then in third, we have Oscar for Mercedes. Fourth is Duday Lee, sorry. Fourth is Leeds. Then it's Duday Lee in 5th. Silo Dark is in 6th. Storms is in 7th, and then Savista, the new rookie, is in 8th. Dots Piers is in then 9th. Then we got Robbo in 10th. Tom in 11th. Piano Jam is in 12th. Vancy 13th. Oneodul is in 14th with no set time. And Nice Job also with no set time down at the back of the grid in 15th. So that is your starting order in your grid for today. And we've now got 25 laps of this Saudi Arabian Grand Prix circuit to come for what hopefully will be a very interesting affair and a race. So here we go then for lights out at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and it's a jump start by Leeds, who's actually picked up a drive-through penalty but gets obviously into the first corner ahead of everyone. Danny Van Rooten then holds on to then what will effectively be first place. Then it will be Oscar in second, followed by then Strikey losing out there on the start at turn 1 to obviously Oscar's teammate. To Danny's teammate in the Mercedes, to Oscar in third. Then it will be 4th, Do They Lee, then 5th, Silo Dark, then it'll be 6th, Storms as they will come around. So that is your current grid order, but obviously currently Leeds, obviously I should say, is your race leader. Taking then the start obviously a bit awkwardly, picking up that drive-through penalty. That's certainly not going to last for long. However, you might as well enjoy it whilst he is ahead of Danny Van Rooten for now. And, well, he is leading the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. As we see Strikey going for a move then on Oscar, takes back then 3rd place and gets ahead of the Mercedes driver going into turn 21 just before it. But it is pretty much a slipstream festival. This circuit will be a bit like Monza actually. Very much the slipstream will pay dividends here for our drivers, and that is what's going to count the most. Now, does obviously Leeds come into the pits immediately? The answer to that is no. He's decided to stay out. Of course, he will have to serve up by the time we get to lap 3. So the end of lap 3, he must come in. So in theory, he can stay out at least for another lap if he chooses to do so, and if he so wishes, in order to try and build out that gap to the drivers he's fighting a bit further down the grid. Because, of course, right now, if he was to come in, well, actually, probably come out now behind 12th, Piano Jam. Maybe if he can just buy himself another lap, he could come out ahead of Piano Jam, because I'm not sure what he'll lose here. Probably about half a pit stop time, maybe a little bit. Well, he'll probably lose about 3 seconds stationary, so let's say it's a 20-second pit loss. Or whatever, you probably will lose, I don't know, 20 seconds. Let's say it's 23 seconds. So yeah, you'd lose 20 seconds roughly here. He will. So we will quickly see where that would get him out then. So right now, if he did probably come out behind Piano Jam by about 5 seconds. So that's where he's probably aiming to come back out into this race. And Strikey's got amazing turn of pace here. He's on the mediums, however, but he is right now doing a good job on those mediums. As we see Dude Lee and Storms go for a bit of a fight and a bit of a moving, trying to get themselves up the order a little bit, but Storms remains P6. Dude Lee holds on to 5th for now. So yeah, as I was saying, Strikey's got good pace in this car. Looks competitive, as we see Robbo overtake Oniodol. Oscar's retired, and that's Oscar's out. And I think that's actually happened at turn 4. No safety car deployed. So for now, that's just Oscar out, and that's a big haul of points lost for the Mercedes pairing, who currently lead the Constructors' Championship. I'm sure that won't matter too much in the end, but it's a bit of a disappointment for Mercedes at the moment, who Strikey chasing down the other one right now. And DRS is now enabled, so therefore drivers will benefit from that DRS. But as we can see from the rear wing, those are now activated, as I thought Storms might have just been eyeing up the pass there, but in the end doesn't able to get that going for himself. So lap 3 of the race now. Leeds must pit this lap, otherwise he will get disqualified. As we see Strikey going around the outside here at the final corner. Danny will have the DRS to come back at him though, down the main pit straight, I think, or maybe not. Doesn't appear his DRS is open, so I'm not entirely sure why that is, but nonetheless, he does manage to regain and retake the place down into turn 1 and now up into 1st in this race. As we see Leeds come in to do his pit stop, and it is now Leeds tumbling down the order. Probably should come out just somewhere behind Piano Jam, and indeed he does. So he lost about 17 seconds there to your race leader. He did have about a 1.2 second buffer, so he probably lost about 18 seconds through that drive-through, which just shows how consequential that is. Plus, he's still got to do his one mandatory pit stop from those hards to obviously either the mediums or the softs. Good thing is, though, he is on the hards, which means for himself the strategy is all very much open. The drivers that are on mediums probably have a little bit more tougher time. If there was, let's say, a safety car, well, if it's an early safety car, good, but if it's sort of like the middle of the road safety car, lap 10 or whatever, then they've got to commit to the harder compound, because they wouldn't be able to probably get softs from lap 10 if we had like a similar safety car sort of sequence from yesterday to the end of the race. It just wouldn't be probably doable. But we see striking Dudley coming back at the Mercedes into the final corner, and Danny Van Rooten going to have going to have two cars on his tail as they go into turn one. Strikey goes through. Does Dudley do the same? The answer to that is no, not quite. So Dudley having just to stay behind the Mercedes for now. Didn't want to risk it on the brakes into one. But we are on lap 5 now, so those soft tyres should be probably starting to feel a bit of pain. However, they probably can still go a good 10 laps around here at Jeddah. So they can actually go a fair distance. Tyres, I don't think, is a major concern at this track. From what I've experienced, it's usually an easy one stop. Whether you want to do the soft to mediums, whether you want to do medium to softs, or whether you want to do hard to softs or hard to mediums, it usually is an easy one-stop race, which is, well, the thing about this circuit. But if you do have safety cars, that will shake things up, of course. Right now we've got none, despite the one DNF from Oscar, as we head on towards lap 6 of this race. Danny's gaining and gaining on the back of the AlphaTauri driver. Does he go down the inside? Yes, he does send his car down the inside there, but doesn't go for the pass entirely. Just stuck his nose in to sort of say, hey, I'm there. And now he's got the DRS once more, and now he's going to breeze past the AlphaTauri down into turn 1. Later on the brakes, better line, can swoop around the outside, as we see Silo Dark going around the outside also of Storms to take P4 away from the Red Bull, and the Red Bull is now down to 5th, as Savista right on his tail too, trying to gain P5 off the Red Bull for what will be 5th place in this race, right now currently in 6th. So Piano Jam becomes the latest retirement. Whether or not causes a safety car, not entirely sure. As we see them on lap 6 of the race, heading towards lap then 7. And right now, Strikey is one position behind your current race leader, who currently is Danny Van Rooten up in 1st, Dule Lee in 3rd, 4th then is Silo Dark, 5th is then Storms, and two retirements, no safety cars. I do wonder, have we got the same problem as last night where safety car isn't turned on? But those were two on track also retirements. If there is a third retirement, I might just quickly check the settings. As we see Strikey now, back pass into the lead. So Strikey moves himself up into 1st. Head of Danny Van Rooten. Danny Van Rooten right now though, on the harder compound, will go longer, and Strikey makes quite a critical mistake then there, which sees him get all out of shape, and this is going to mean that Danny Van Rooten here can just stay ever so much closer to the back of the AlphaTauri driver, and probably can get this pass done a lot sooner. Now, does he want to get this pass done sooner? That's going to be the fundamental question. We are going to have to wait and see, but he's got a good chance here in doing so, down this straight or down the next one then. So Danny Van Rooten currently doesn't lead, sorry, currently P2 in this race. Currently Strikey leads, but Strikey is going to have to stop sooner. Same with all those on the softer compound as well. And Danny Van Rooten will have the better tyre towards, of course, the end of the race to attack with equally. So Danny Van Rooten down the inside into one. Both leave them each other the space. Through two. Who's going to get the better exit? Danny Van Rooten does. And Danny Van Rooten on the inside 4-4. Surely Danny Van Rooten will win this one. And he does, as then we see Strikey off into the barrier, out of the race. And surely that's a safety car. Finally it is one. And we have now got our first safety car of the day, which has been deployed on lap 8 here. Now surely we're going to see a lot of drivers come in for hards. Some probably come in for mediums. And probably mediums can get to the end of the race, but yep, probably a lot coming in for hards and mediums in here. Strikey out then. So that's two of the top three retiring then today. Just after that pass from Danny on the inside, Strikey lost control of the car on the outside, lost maybe a bit of grip out there on the dirty side of the track. And into the barrier, unfortunately. Unless, the only other thing I'm thinking, unless there was contact made between Duday Lee and Strikey, but I don't want to really assume that either, because, yeah, I'm going to have a quick look, see if there could have been actually damage, to be fair, because there is damage to Strikey's, sorry, not to Strikey's car, to Duday Lee's car, the front wing end plate there is missing off then Duday Lee's Alpine. So potential there was damage done or contact made between the two. It's a possibility because we are going to see, as you'll see in a moment, the front wing be changed for the Alpine driver. As you can see, that front nose cone getting replaced and a new one put on. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't really see. I only saw the tail end of that, so can't really assume. We'll have to see if it gets reported, or if anything gets reported a little bit later on tonight. But lap 9, this safety car probably be out to lap 11. So until then, I'm gonna probably just, you know, talk maybe about the strategy moment, which currently there isn't a lot really. The only interesting one is Leeds, who currently is on softs, but I do wonder if he'll come back in a little bit later on at the end of this one, because those softs definitely probably not going to get to the end of this race for anyone on those. Probably if you do want to stop, you've got to go on to hards or mediums from this point at the moment. So, safety car might be in at the end of this lap. If not, will be definitely the next lap. The safety car will come in here. Just all depends whether Valtsy catches up to the rear of this train. And if he does, then it probably would be in. But if he doesn't, might just go on for one more lap here. So we are on lap 10 of 25, meaning there is about 15 laps to run. And if it does come in at the end of this lap, I don't think it will, due to the fact Valtsy is still a fair amount away from this train, even though he's catching up quite now quickly, which might indicate it might, because sometimes we do see late safety car calls, and in fact we have seen just one here. As we see, that was Storms almost going into the rear of then Silo Dark, as they all sort of bunched up together again. And now with the safety car return to the pits, it's all down to when does Danny want to go. He's got obviously the control of the car, as we see then. I think that is, not sure, I think that's, who is that? Because, oh, that's Dudet Lee into the pits. So, we've gone to the line, and they have gone now then into turn one. Savista gone for it, but what has Silo Dark done? He's gone down the inside. Quite a late dive bomb there from Silo Dark, but it looked like it was in a controlled manner in the end, and he took away P2 away from the Aston Martin very quickly. Then they all bunched up then, but Danny Van Rooten made a perfect safety car restart, building already a 1.2 second gap, as we see now Savista already under a bit of pressure from Storms having an attack on the outside, going around into the banking. Of course it will be Savista with the inside line, and that inside line going to win out. However, it is Storms getting a bit of a undercut there, and that puts him all over the rear of then the Aston Martin. The Aston Martin driver struggling to defend here from obviously Storm. Savista goes up into P3. Storms gets past Savista down now into fourth, but is on the harder compound of tyre, as we see Leeds try to go around the outside into turn 21. You don't see moves there, and we can now see why, because it was just never going to work out between that manoeuvre. But Savista losing a lot of time to the leader. Silo Dark though bringing that gap back down to within about half a second, which therefore puts him in a good place to try and go and attack Danny Van Rooten, who currently sits P1 in this race. But look at the gap then these two have bought themselves. It's 2.5s back to the main pack then, which is fighting away for third, fourth, fifth and 6th and 7th at the moment. Nice job also in a good position as well. One of your championship leaders and protagonists this season. Obviously, he is trying to get himself up the order. Currently, he has had a bit of a quiet race actually so far, I'd have to say. But he is up in 6th. As I said, he always finds a way to get up into a good position and a nice points paying position. And he's doing that just once again. Already going for the attack of then 5th place and down the inside at then the banking, and he's now up into 5th, and next place will be of course P4 for then to get ahead of Savista here. And if he does that, then that sees him up one position behind the podium, as Savista then moves kind of a little bit out of the way for nice job. Quite nice there from him, and doesn't really fight that one too much. But that is a nice job up into then 4th, and he is coming through the pack very, very quickly. Then now, 4.7 seconds though behind the race leader. That's the other thing though he's got to bear in mind. And I suppose maybe 3rd is his ceiling for today, if no more safety cars are deployed. But right now he is found, as I said, his way up into those really top honours. And that was one thing I did say at the start of the stream he's really, really good at in doing. Danny Van Rooten may have a great pace, but it is a nice job who always manages to find a way to either win or to get into the top 3 or to get into the top 2 even, to always score those big, big points for McLaren and for, obviously, himself to try and win these championships. Of course, did win another championship a few weeks ago, but don't really want to talk about or advertise, other leagues, if you know what I mean. But he is he's a very talented driver that got plenty on offer. So, lap 13 of the race. We're seeing Silo, we're seeing Silo Dot currently hunt down your race leader. We're seeing Storms being hunted down by Nice Job, and we're seeing currently then Savista 5th, and we're seeing now Leeds fall back into Oneodor. Oneodor up into 6th. Now he'll go chase after the Aston of then Savista, who currently is in 5th. And a little bit of that battery use, so he won't have much to defend with down this main straight, which could leave him vulnerable for the pass from both the Red Bull. No, the Red Bull's going to dart off into the pits, but it's certainly not going to stop the AlphaTauri driver coming through then here, as Leeds then has pitted, and not sure what he'll do. He goes on to a set of mediums then, he does. However, he's going to be a long way now outside of the top 10. In fact, going to be down to last in the current order that we have, which puts him very much out of sync with everyone else. So Danny's wing damage, does he? I'm not entirely sure. Doesn't look visible. If it is, if he does have wing damage, fair enough, but I don't know. I can't see any visible wing damage, if I'm being honest, but he might do. Of course, sometimes you don't have to see visible wing damage, as you know yourself in this game. It's one of them funny games. Hopefully that'll be a lot better on the next game, F1 24, where if you do have wing damage, you can visibly see the wing damage a bit more. Because I really hate it that you can't see the wing damage, especially as a commentator if he does have any. Even though it looks like it ain't really affecting him, because as you can see, back up into first now. So, yeah, that is him retaking that position, even though it's only going to be probably momentarily, because here comes Silo Dark, going to try and get that position back, and he is going to claim that position back very quickly. So Silo Dark back up into first place. However, he's used a lot more battery. We see Storms back up into third, taking away then third off then. Nice job on O'Doul is up into 5th, and something may have happened to Savista because he's now down to 7th, which has seen him lose about 2 positions. Was running, I think, in 6th or 5th, but yep, dropping off the pace quite quickly, and as we see Leeds retire from session, and that's done from the pits, of course. So he's got yellow wing on the right. Okay, yeah, fair enough. That's probably explains why we don't see the wing damage. But Dude Lee is, I think, out of the race here, is he? Yes, he is. So is that going to deploy a safety car? I don't think so. Vancy, also, I don't know whether he's tangled up with him because he's obviously, well, a bit in that yellow sector, which, of course, seen him, not really sure what's gone on there, but that is Dude Lee out. So another big name out of this race. We've had, how many big names out of this race? 3, maybe, I would say. Because, yeah, I'm not saying Leeds and Piano Jam aren't big names, but you know what I mean. 3 big names. Obviously, Oscar's one, obviously, who's currently in the chat. Nice to have you in the chat with us. Obviously, it would be nicer if you were on the track. No offense, though. But, yeah. Then, obviously, Strikey, maybe a bigger name. And Dude Lee's quite a big name, I suppose. As well. The next bigger name would have to be Danny Van Rooten and Nice Job. When are they going to crash out? Hopefully never at this rate. But you never know. Maybe this is going to be a surprise winner. However, Silo has picked up a time penalty, which therefore will affect his end race result potentially here. If he doesn't shake off 3 seconds, which, even though Danny does have a bit of wing damage apparently to his car on the right hand side, got apparently a yellow front wing. isn't really affecting his pace all that too much. And even if it is, he's doing enough to go on and win this race. Then with that wing damage, with now the race leader himself having a 3-second time penalty. We'll quickly show you the penalty. So you got Oniodul currently on 5 seconds. You got then Tom also on 3 seconds. So them two will be affected by their penalties. In fact, everyone will be. Right now, Oniodul would drop down back to 6th. And of course, we would see Silo Dark lose out on the race win at the moment. But either way, he's not really in a race winning position at the moment until he makes this pass now once again to take back first place and move himself back up into that race winning position. But gone a bit deep there. That's going to allow then Danny Van Rooten a slight chance on the outside. However, in the end, weren't far enough alongside to really make that pass work, and therefore had to back off and let Silo Dark keep P1 and he keep P2. Now, nice job. Back up into third, trying to pull away from then obviously Oniodul and then Storms. If he can do that, build himself a 1 second gap, that would of course allow him to, well, just be a bit more comfortable on the podium. And he's actually built that 1 second gap that I'm talking about. And now it is going to be obviously Oniodul and Storms who can fight it out between themselves. But Oniodul and, well, Storms will have a bit of DRS, which may allow him, if he gets the move done, he can get that double dose of DRS on, of course, nice job. But if he has to wait until the next turn, I'm not sure he gets the DRS. We'll have to see, did he get the DRS? Might not have actually done so. So, actually, I think Oniodul is going to have a DRS here. Storms isn't going to have any DRS. And, well, Storms defends the inside a bit, maybe too much there, which will hinder Oniodul's progress. And this is just allowing nice job to streak away off then in third place and build the gap he needs to take. As we now see Storms back ahead, and yep, then three not helping, two not helping each other out here in the battle for third. Just giving nice job the advantage to take third then here in that final podium spot, and it's now a 1.5 second gap that nice job enjoys. Back to the fight for the race lead. We can see how much battery nice job has, and you can just see, well, either way, Silent Dark was blinking, was flashing there, meaning he's out of battery, and you can just see the advantage really. Danny Van Rooten is holding up his sleeve for, well, what might be the final few laps of this race, but it does, I suppose, depend how, you know, he deals with obviously that damage. But as I say, it doesn't really appear to be affecting him at all. If he does, well, as he does have any damage, just seems maybe a tenth he's losing a lap maybe here, but seems like he's coping well with it, and of course does have that, well, ERS advantage. So when he wants to deploy that ERS, that's going to help him have an extra boost to try and break away from obviously Silo Dark, and he usually leaves it to the final laps of the Grand Prix to use it. Danny doesn't really use his ERS up at all really throughout the race in any part of it really, if I'm being brutally honest. He just harvests it so well and manages to stay such a consistent pace where he just doesn't really need to use it. It's just his secret, I suppose, weapon if he had one. And yeah, just praise on them, let them burn up their battery, let them use up their tyres, and then just praise on them like a hawk or an eagle, and man just goes on to win the race. However, I do question whether that safety car restart will get a bit investigated after this race. Potentially might have a few complaints. Not sure if that could see him get a penalty. If that was one, potentially. I don't think so. I think it was overall okay on Danny's part. You would probably argue it came in late. So, yeah. Anyway, he's the lead car. so it's his, as long as he's not doing anything erratic, it's everyone else's duty behind him to follow until they get to the line, which is his rights, of course. And anyway, on to lap then 20 of then 25. Silo Dark retakes lead from Danny as Danny went through. Oni O'Doul gonna retake P4 off then Storms. Storms back down to then 5th. Savista actually being caught here by ERL peers who, as I said, Savista hasn't really looked himself on this set of hards. He's just dropped off, not really kept up with anyone. On the mediums, I think he started the race on mediums. He was actually okay, as I don't know who's causing the yellow flag. I think that might be just a black mark of Voutsy getting a lap, so that's not nothing to worry about, really. So, I thought it might have been either nice job or one of the race leaders there for a sec, but turns out not. Just is Voutsy having issues, whatever issues he's suffering from out there. So maybe just wanting to get lapped to shorten his race length, potentially there, which I suppose is kind of understandable. He's almost a minute down, so kind of just, I might have given up maybe, but just wanted to get lapped just to shorten that race distance for himself or whatever, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, as I was saying, the Europe is catching Savista's quite nicely, but Savista's really struggling as well, you'd have to argue. You do wonder, has he got any damage to his car? It wouldn't shock me if he did, because it's very clear he's struggling on this set of hards, and he's been caught quite heavily by the Williams, which in theory those softs should be well past their peak now and best. But Europe is doing a really nice job, and Oni O'Doul's out of the race. So Oni O'Doul has retired, which isn't going to see a safety car. By the looks of it, we're going to continue on without one. We haven't had many safety cars today. Only the one so far, which was mid-race. But, yep, that's Oni O'Doul out. Another big name to crash out then today. That's the 4th big name of the race to suffer a DNF then out of this race tonight here at ERL. And, of course, that'd be disappointment for him. Whether or not he would have kept, well, 5th or 4th is another question. Did have 5 seconds anyway to be added on, but he would have still scored some good points, most likely where he was running. As we see Danny Van Rooten retake the lead of the race. Danny Van Rooten then using up also a bit more of that battery to try and then build a gap, and where he overtook Silo Dark. Silo Dark kind of got caught out a little bit, almost going into the rear of then Danny, which might have hurt Silo a little bit there, but we'll have to see how much Danny now pulls out during the next, I think, few laps. Is he now just about to check out of the hotel and end this race? I have to see. Through first sector though, seems pretty average. No real gain or advantage. Struggling through the banking, so certainly that's probably where the damage hurting him the most on his car. However, he is into the lead of the Grand Prix, which now he's trying to pull out away from that DRS if he can. Got a 9/10 advantage as we see the rear of the, well, the front of the Ferrari, the rear of the Mercedes through turn 21. Took that fairly okay. And down the main pit back straight, where DRS very effective here. We can see Silo Dark gaining, but nowhere near enough to make the pass. Then through the final corner and onto the Bauer down the main pit straight here then for the 23rd time of this race with, well, 3 more attacks to go Silo Dark back into the race lead. However, with little battery to spare and a 3-second time penalty as well, which will be added on. Right now, he's the only one who will suffer a penalty here, or from his penalties, unless Tom overtakes. I think Tom's got 3 seconds too. He does indeed. Of course, sometimes 3 seconds can be removed, I suppose, given race director. You never know, but it does look like this race will probably head Danny Van Ruten's way. However, that damage might be hurting, I feel, Danny Van Ruten a little bit now, more than we've seen in the previous laps. He's still doing okay on it, but I just see that Mercedes understeering a bit now more, and it's a bit more potent to watch. As you can see, even though through there, you'd almost think the Ferrari driver had damage there from how wide he went. Very, very wide. And he's going to get the move done then, Danny is. They come together, brush a little bit. That's all good, I suppose, so long it's not too much. And Danny Van Ruten getting a big, big snap of oversteer out the final corner. That's going to easily allow Silo Dark to sell back past. Danny is, though, squeezing him. And we see also Silo Dark squeezing as well. So they're really fighting each other here now. And they're really making a bit of contact, a bit too much contact almost for my liking, if I'm being brutally honest. That's a bit of a hand in mouth sort of moment, I suppose, or whatever, you know what I mean. Like, heart-stopping moment, because if that goes wrong down the straight, that could be devastating. Really, both of them need to be careful with what they're doing. And this could allow, of course, nice job, the opportunity, if it did go wrong, to win this Grand Prix from last on the grid to first, of course. He would love that. As we see Silo Dark brush the barriers. Both of them flirting on thin ice in different aspects and different ways. As we see now Danny Van Ruten retake the lead of the race. 1.5 laps to go. Danny Van Ruten is your race leader. Got a lot of battery. So Silo Dark on the inside, down the inside, gets the position. However, Danny Van Ruten will have the battery to deploy, and this will be a very, very easy overtake for the Mercedes driver on the outside. Before we even get to turn 1, he's passed. And now, if he can build out a second lead, he doesn't even need to worry about, obviously, Silo Dark. That's what he's got to really go and do. Try and deploy all that battery he's got to try and build that 1 second advantage. So Silo Dark is not a threat by the time we get to Sector 3, or Sector 2 here, but it's down to him what he wants to do and how he wants to play this one, I suppose. He could also let Silo Dark go through on the next straight, and then he will have the DRS for the next, obviously, part of it, but we'll have to see. Right now, it's 3/10 the advantage, now 4. So, Danny Van Ruten currently leads with half a lap to go. Tom now has retired from the race, which sees him crash out, become the 5th big name tonight to unfortunately crash. But Danny Van Ruten putting out a big gap in this sector, and I think he's just deploying that ERS so much more. You can see how much ERS he's burning through here, and even with the DRS, Silo Dark cannot respond to that sort of usage of ERS that's being deployed. And it is going to be Danny Van Ruten rounding the final corner for the final time, crosses the line, takes the race victory. Danny Van Ruten wins in Jeddah. Silo Dark comes home P2. It is going to be a nice job rounding off the podium. Then it's going to be Storms in 4th. Or is Savista going to get him at the line? I don't think so. So 4th is going to be Storm. Savista takes home 5th. A very good result for him on debut. Then it's going to be Piers in 7th. Tried to go for me softs all the way to the end. A very, very long stint. But I'll tell you what, not bad result on a set of softs considering how long that stint was. Then it's going to be Robbo in 7th. And then Valsey's going to come home in P9 despite Tom not finishing today. So that is the end of then your 1-year anniversary race here in ERL for Tier 2. And nice job with Tate's Driver of the Day. And I don't know, I'm going to say Silo Dark for me is the Driver of the Day. I think, considering I don't really see him too much doing that sort of thing. Danny Van Rooten, obviously, yeah, he wins all the time, every time. You know what I mean. But Silo Dark doesn't really win that much. And 6th to 2nd, a great race actually from him. Really, really great race to put, obviously, Danny under that much pressure. So yeah, 6th to 7th, really, 6th to 7th, 6th to 2nd. A great, great result. So yeah, that's my driver of the day then for him. Anyway, thank you for watching, and see you all back on Monday for ERL round number 8, where I believe we are going to the United States or somewhere. I'm not really sure. I'll check calendar later. But see you all then for round number 8.